Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm. Each year in the Dandenongs, a proud township closes its main street for a classic vehicle event. The town is Monbulk in Victoria, and you're about to see their show on this week's episode of Classic Restos. The Monbulk Car Show is an annual event held in the main street of Monbulk in the heart of the beautiful Dandenong Ranges, Victoria. The main street is closed to traffic and comes alive with the sweet sounds of classic Australian muscle cars, European marques, customs, and even the odd ex-race car. There's entertainment for the whole family throughout the day, with proceeds raised being put back into their community and, in particular, their local CFA, because to many it would be almost impossible to make it through the summer period without them. This is the 7th show, growing each year. Last year, attendance exceeded 3,500 people and more than 400 cars entered on the day. It's now 2019. Let's see what is in store.
My name's Richard. I'm the show organiser for the Monbulk Car Show. I'm the town representative. It's run by the town group. It's a community event, fundraising for the CFA for our upcoming fire season. Last year was our sort of step that we've made towards getting the community more involved. We're moving to more of a community and town festival than just a car show. So last year was we raised $10,000 for the CFA, which was a great effort considering we only started the year before that when we took it over, the town group. So it was a very successful, our most successful year so far last year. We're closing in the street more, so we're expanding the fencing and all that sort of stuff so we can try and tip over the 420 cars that we have in through the show. This year we've got a fun run that's going to be an add-on to the show, and that's part of our steps to getting it more of a community event. We're not a specific chrome bumper show. We welcome anybody who loves their cars and enthusiastic is welcome. We don't have particular criteria because we want the local cars to come as well. We want it to have a local influence as well as, of course, people from out of the area. So we welcome anything. Last year we had Classic Restos for the first time, and we had a lot of people watching it. A lot of people laughing at this interview, but other than that, it was good. It just gets us out to a broader audience. A lot of people, I think, who are going to come this year saw it, who didn't come before. So the 50% of the people that come with the entrant cars from out of the area, a lot of those saw it last year, and that's why they're inquiring about coming this year. 2019 show should be a boomer. The weather's fantastic, not a breath of wind, not a cloud in the sky. Should be our biggest year yet. Everybody is welcome, spectators and any cars. It's for anybody. Anybody who loves their cars are all welcome. So we hope this is big and 2020 is even bigger.
Okay, moving through Monbulk for 2019. How you doing, Ian?
Good, thanks, Fletch.
That's good. You having fun here today?
Yes.
That's good. I like the car you've got here. This is a different angle. You don't see this very often. A 1973 Ford Escort, left-hand drive. Now, what's the story there?
The car was originally built in Cologne, Germany, and it ended up out in New Zealand. It was on the road as an everyday driver till 2008, and an Irish gentleman in Sydney imported it and sat on it for a fair few years off the road, and advertised, and I bought it off him about 4 years ago.
Wow, born in Cologne. The car must smell really nice.
No, I don't think so.
I like the fact that it's left-hand drive, one of the most predominant shape Ford Escorts that we pretty well knew back in the 70s here in Australia. Not only left-hand drive, the instrument cluster is different as well, with some additional gauges there.
Yeah, it's got the sports instrumentation. The car was made up of leftover parts just to make up the model, just to with the run out of the different cars there.
Yeah. Interesting too to think that it was a daily driver in New Zealand up to 1980. As you said, it's probably done quite a few Ks.
That's correct. Yeah, it's done a lot of work over its time. I think it's been around the track a fair bit. This car's only a 1300, but still kicks along all right, and it starts every time.
That's a bonus.
That's very good, yes.
Good on you, and thanks for bringing it along. I had to have a chat with you because I've never seen a left-hand drive Escort before. Very interesting, mate. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Fletch.
You're welcome. Thanks, mate.
The Mini Cooper S is a real classic. It won the Monte Carlo Rally 4 times, plus the Bathurst 500.
For us, it's like the Italian job every time we drive it. You know, Michael Caine racing through the streets of Turin.
The good thing is, Shannons really understand our passion.
That's why Shannons insure our classic, our daily drive, and now even our home.
Call Shannons on 13 46 46. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
In 2020, why not consider a Detroit tour with Fletch? Detroit, the automotive epicenter. It will leave you gobsmacked. Imagine experiencing where automotive history on a grand scale began. Stay in fine accommodation, taking in some of the best museums and private car collections on the planet. Book your 2020 Detroit tour with Fletch. Time for an LH Torana on today's show. Hello, Jarrod.
Good morning, Fletch.
How are you, mate?
Any fitter and I'd be dangerous.
There you go. What a great day for it.
Sensational.
Now, you're having fun here at Monbulk.
Certainly am. This is just one of our great mountain shows here. This is
Now, you get around. You were here last year, and just digressing slightly, you also go to the Portland show, happening in every January.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we'll be there again this year.
Isn't that good? This is what it's all about. Eh? Enthusiasts, guys, ladies out in their cars getting around and travelling parts of Victoria and doing the distances. Now, this car here behind us is intriguing. A 1975 LH Torana. How long have you had it?
45 years, Fletch.
Brand new.
Yeah.
Isn't that nice? It's not very often where you catch up with the guy that's had the car since brand new. You remember the day of driving it out of the dealership, right?
Yeah, it was pretty special. Again, when you buy them, back then I thought I'd probably have it 4 or 5 years, not having any idea of projection forward, but there she's sat in our garage for 45 years.
A 253 car, 4.2 litre, you have a 4-speed box there. Right. I guess back in the day, it's a nice little package, isn't it? And of course you've got that nice sound too of the 253 up front.
It's smooth and mellow, yeah, and it's pretty pleasurable. I'm a bit of a fair weather sportsman. It doesn't come out in the dirty weather too much, but
I'm a firm believer that somebody that keeps a car for a long time, it obviously has to be a very good car. Now, over all these decades, was there ever a time where you thought about trading it in, getting something different, getting more of a late model vehicle? How deep does your passion go here? What made you keep it for so long?
My wife.
Oh.
Through
I could have saved 3 minutes of the question just then.
In truth, through the crisis of life with the dramas that happens to us, when we needed money, my logic was always to sell the car. My wife wouldn't allow that. She was the one that said, "I won't let you sell it for the wrong reasons." So, 45 years on, we still have it.
I think the nice part about this too, Jarrod, is the fact that you've got an original 253 4-speed Torana. Holdens aren't being made anymore in this country like we ever knew them. You've got a piece of Australian legacy here, you really do.
Yeah, I appreciate what you're saying, but when you've had them so long, they're more like just one of the family.
Jarrod and I having a chat before we started filming. Interesting when we started talking about panels and paint. Just share with us what we discussed earlier, Jarrod.
Yeah, well, as I understand, when they were building these models back in 74, 75, they would just paint multiple panels. They'd be just on any given day and literally stand them up against the wall until they were building a car. And when they built a car, they needed green doors or red doors. They just grabbed from piles. And so if you walk around my car, you'll see that guards and doors and bonnets and don't match, you know. And I've had people then who want to argue with you that that it's not original. So, well, you know, say what you like.
You've had the cars, it's brand new.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the kind of...
All things aside, Jarrod, bang for the buck. The Australian manufacturing did make a good product though, didn't they?
They did, and yet back then somehow I was always given to understand that Australian produced stuff was never as good as the rest of the world. We were always made feel inferior from my perspective.
But we have one of the harshest lands in the world. Before SUVs, these were the family trucksters. It was the Toranas, it was the Kingswoods, it was the Valiants, it was the Falcons. These were the cars that were pulling boats, pulling caravans from state to state. Yeah. These were our long-distance haulers, and they hung in there for decades.
Indeed, and, you know, to see them still around is just an indictment to how good they really were. Day one, you feel like a king when you take the keys and the possession of a new car and drive out of a dealership feeling $1 million. And I guess from then on, it was summertime. We had a stinking hot summer in '75 when I probably only owned the car a month when the heat was too much for a wife, a companion who doesn't handle the heat, so it had to have air conditioning. So very shortly thereafter it had air conditioning fitted to it, and from that time on, ultimately a car all but becomes a member of the family with a lot of fond memories that you have of your experience at wandering around, and this is no exception.
How many Ks have you got on this, Jarrod?
98,000.
98?
98.
You've got to get out more, Jarrod.
Well, that's the problem. I've got to retire so as that I can enjoy my toys. My toys a little more.
I think it's wonderful, mate. Thank you so much for sharing this car with us. You travel with another Torana next to us here in convoy. You guys must have a ball.
We do. We have and it's the magnetism of the folk that we get to spend time with. That single-mindedness of people, no matter what the make of car that we have is very special. That's what keeps us here. It's what brings us back. Yeah.
Too true. Jarrod, wonderful catching up with you, and we'll see you at Classics by the Bay at Portland in 2020.
You certainly will. Thank you, Fletch.
Thanks, Jarrod.
Thanks for a great day.
Moving through as we do, Monbulk 2019. Time for this guy here. How you doing, Matthew?
Yeah, good, Fletch. How are you?
Good, mate. Good. Supporting the Chrysler's on the Murray event shirt. Mopar guy.
Yeah, Mopar guy all the way through, mate. Love me Chrysler's, always have since I was a teenager. And, mate, yeah, love them to death.
Well, congratulations on this one, Matthew, because you're the valiant of the episode. A beautiful 1970 VG Regal. Wow, what a beautiful looking car.
Yeah, mate, I love it. It's great to drive. Just all around, just great car. I just, love getting in it and driving to these events.
The VF and VG based on the American Dodge Dart sedans and brought over here with the Aussie design, a bit of Aussie facelifting. A basic, well-built car. Nicely finished, nicely trimmed. There is a story with this, though. What's that?
Yeah, I bought it about 4 years ago, and unfortunately it was left to someone in a will, a grandson, so off the original owner, and he wasn't using the car at all, and so he just said it's too good to be in the garage, and I was lucky enough to purchase it, and now I drive it all the time. Absolutely love it.
It's really lovely to hear that, isn't it? And to think that this particular shape Valiant had quite a few accolades here in Australia. Of course, a diverse model as well. They use them as racing cars, known as the Pacer, right through to the top end, slightly longer in the body with the VIP. Now, this car for you to drive, Matthew, tell us, how does it feel? Is it a good car to drive?
Mate, I absolutely love it. It just sits on the road nicely, purrs along, reliable, and just I love getting away in it. You know what I mean? It's just you have a week at work and you just look forward to jumping in the car and just cruising around. And there's a lot of Chrysler events I love getting to. and all the Chrysler guys are really good to get along with. So yeah, it's great. Yeah, met a lot of people through the Chrysler scene with this car too. So that's probably the best part about it.
1970, the introduction of the Hemi 6. Sterling Moss used to advertise those back in the time. A 245 cubic inch Hemi in these VGs. I've driven quite a few of them. They go remarkably well.
That they do. When you want to put the foot down to move along, they move along well. So I've got the best of both worlds here. It's just a good cruiser, and if I need to overtake, mate, no problem.
How cool is this? Every time we interview somebody, there's a car in a shop or a car that hasn't been discovered yet. And that's what is always up and coming with these events. Here in Monbulk, it's almost now, it's actually official that this town is, well, this main street is almost too small now for the event. This year, they've just about half an hour ago, they're starting to park cars down the side street. So there's just cars coming from everywhere these days.
Yeah, not wrong. It's a really good place, Monbulk. I love this event. It's just full of good people. But like you said, it is getting a little bit too big. They might need to make some more room, I think. But no, it's definitely a really good car show, and I'll be here every year.
Good on you, Matthew. Well, earlier in today's show, we mentioned the Classics by the Bay in Portland, Victoria next year. Chrysler's on the Murray, obviously, in 2020. These are great events to get to. And, of course, Monbulk here is, well, it's the meeting place. It's becoming that way here in the Dandenongs. It's a great place to hold the car show here in the main street. Hope to see you back in next year, Matthew.
No worries, Fletch. Thanks very much, buddy. Cheers.
And if you own a Classic, it just has to be insured with Shannons. Why not pick up the phone and give Shannons a call for a quote and a chat to discuss what you would like to have insured on 134646. And I know that you're enjoying Classic Restos, so there are over 330 episodes awaiting you on the Shannons Club with a whole heap of other really cool stuff for you to browse through as well. For more information, visit shannons.com.au.
My passion for cars began when Nana and Pop bought their new Toyota Crown. It was Nana's, really. She loved that car. We went everywhere in it. My passion now is just the same, even though my cars are a little different. I've still got Nana's car, couldn't part with it. And I reckon if she was here today, she'd be insured with Shannons too.
Call Shannons on 134646. Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts.
Hare & Forbes Machinery House has been family owned and operated for over 85 years, and it's easy to see why. Planning on welding? Look at these welding tables and clamps, air compressors and different air tools, sandblasting cabinets, through to spray guns. Everyone is welcome at Machinery House. There are competitive freight rates around Australia, and you can buy online at machineryhouse.com.au. So remember, Hare & Forbes has the range. If there was one really cool shape in the United States in 1959, it would have to be a Buick. It's one of the shapes that were often overshadowed by others, but in my opinion, the Invicta, the LeSabre, the Electra, what an incredible car. How you doing, Dylan?
Good, Fletch. How are you, mate?
Good, mate. Good. Nice score, this.
Thank you. Yeah, she's gorgeous, isn't she?
Absolutely. Now, although it is a custom, I've always got my eye out for one of these and try and film one when I can. I've had a few over the history of Classic Restos. This is a very, very nice example. And what I mean by that, it's not too overdone.
Thanks, Fletch. Yeah, no, it's pretty much like it's on airbags, so you raise it up and it sort of just looks like a stock off the showroom floor car, and then you just air it out and, yeah, it just changes the car completely.
Nice how the stainless steel separates the two-tone here. We've got the turquoise, we've got a beautiful white there. The interior also, it's been redone, but period correct.
Yeah, correct. It's exactly what it would have looked like.
Back in the time when the United States of America used to make a statement when they built cars, and they did that for many decades. Of course it was ridiculous for a car this big to take one person to work. We've said that many times on Classic Restos. But the boldness of they did it because they could. And what a dramatic car. Buick, well, we know that they had some of the longest fins. Cadillac had the highest fins. The fins on this car, seriously, the whole car is a section of fins.
Yeah, they reckon these got the biggest. The fins start at the front of the door there, so, and just go their way back. So, yeah, they're a great shape.
What powers it up front, Dylan?
It's got a 401 nail head and a Dynaflow trans.
I love how Buick called their V8s the nail head.
Yes.
It's kind of like, might remind you of possibly like panhead when you talk about Harleys. But Buick always built a good car. The engines were good as well. What a machine.
Yeah, they just put so much effort in. I mean, I don't get me wrong, I love the Chevs and stuff like that, but it's just with these, they just put just a little bit more in. The dashes are all, there's a lot of workmanship goes into it.
Well, you've got to remember too that on the GM chain, they were just one down from Cadillac.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just one step down, really, so it's up there.
Suspension. Tell us how it was doing the suspension. A hard job? Are you happy with it? Would you like to just have the car back with standard suspension? What's the deal there?
No, not at all. I love the air ride suspension in it. I did a lot of the wiring, the tank. I had a guy, Jay from Von Brothers, out in Lilydale. He did the actual brackets and the AccuAir self-leveling on it, and it rides gorgeous. It was very boaty before, but now it's just a little bit firmer. You don't almost lift a wheel going around a corner and stuff like that. Is
there one particular setting that you just have it at all the time when you're out cruising?
Yeah. So the beauty of the AccuAir is it's self-leveling. So you've got 1, which is this height, 2, which is ride height, and then 3 sort of speed bumps, steep driveway, stuff like that. And then you don't have to have them. You can control it all side to side, whatever you want to do. So it's a fantastic system.
Kind of like best of both worlds. It's given it that that lateral, that stability that maybe once upon a time it could have been a little lackluster.
Yeah, they were very boaty, and like you'd hit like a little bump and you'd feel it forever, just get floating. Whereas now it's a bit stiffer, but it is it's a much nicer ride.
So Dylan, what age were you when you first looked at an American car and thought, wow, I like that because that's different to the rest?
Probably around 20. I had a XW Falcon, and my boss at the time had a 64 Thunderbird. And yeah, I ended up selling the Falcon, bought a 64 Thunderbird, and it's just progressed from there.
It went from there, and with all due respects, it'd even still be good to have the XW, no doubt.
It was probably silly getting rid of it, to tell you the truth. It's the price of those things these days, but I love the Yankee stuff, and I won't go back. I just love it. It's just so different.
There's one total left field statement that I've got to say, and you'll probably laugh at me. The Sporty Cordy, the Ford Cortina from the mid-60s, yep. I believe that the design of the back of one of those Cortinas possibly came from the rear styling of one of these Buicks. I know, don't laugh at me. I've thought about this many times. But these American cars were really the showcase of so many other manufacturers that took bits and pieces of styling and incorporated into their local products. And that's how it used to work.
Well, yeah, that makes sense. So I think there's a Cordy down there, so I'll have to go for a walk and have a look at your theory.
I may not tell him. I might better not go down there and tell him that the back of his car looks like a 1959 Invicta. Not that that's that bad. Dylan, wonderful catching up with you, and I love what you've done with this car. It's very, very cool, and certainly with over 500 vehicles here, would you believe, at Monbulk for one day, there has not been another Buick here like this one, mate. So good on you.
Thank you, Fletch. I appreciate it, mate.
Well, there you go. There's just some of the 2019 Monbulk Classic Car Show. And if you can make it in 2020, it'll be well worth your while. They block off the main street. This year has grown on last year like you would not believe. As I say at the end of every episode of Classic Restos, no matter where you're watching the show from, until next week, please ride and drive safe. I'm Fletch, and I thank you very much for watching. You can like and follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Classic Restos TV and watch catch-up episodes at shannons.com.au. Classic Restos is proudly brought to you by Shannons, insurance for motoring enthusiasts, Hare and Forbes Machinery House, and Pace Farm.